Welcome everybody to chapel and to our final week of classes for the 2022 calendar year. We should have a nice few days here with snow now blanketing our beautiful campus, and our holiday dinner tomorrow at 6 o'clock in Brewster Hall. Please be focused and disciplined in finishing up properly before we head to winter break. Enjoy yourselves, but please make good decisions so we can all enjoy the holidays before we reconvene for the rest of the winter term on January 4th and 5th. We will begin today's chapel with Katie, and when Nene is through, you will be dismissed. Katie Akers.
Hi Suffield, my name is Katie Akers and I am a four-year senior from Weston, Connecticut. Like many, family is a very important piece of my life. My parents are my biggest supporters and have raised me to become the person I am today. However, my four grandparents each play a massive role in the shaping of my identity and have been the mold for who I aspire to be as I grow. My mom's dad, Frank, not only passed down all his Irish genes to me, but he also taught me how to have humility and find the ability to laugh at myself. At 87, my grandpa never fails to make me laugh with his lively humor and talent for storytelling. I tend to be a slight perfectionist and am very hard on myself when I do not meet the high standards I set. My grandpa often shares with me his failures in life and how his ability to move on with grace and ease allowed him to grow much more than any success would have. While I still struggle with this, his constant support reminds me of the important things in life and just how little that one test or paper really matters. I credit my positive attitude and my constant smile to my grandfather. My grandmother, who I call Granny, is known to my brothers, cousins, and me as Miss Manners due to her ability to correct us at the table about a new manner during every family dinner. Since a young age, she has taught me to keep my elbows off the table, where to set the cutlery, and all the proper ways to eat dinner in case I ever eat with the Queen. While this used to annoy me quite a bit, I'm now grateful for her lessons. She has taught me the importance of a first impression and how sometimes actions can speak louder than words. My mom's mother, Reem, was one of few women in her time to attend college, and she excelled in sciences and even met her husband working as a chemist. While my grandma passed when I was 7, I look up to her for her ability to continue her passions and break the barriers that prevented her from continuing her education. Now, I am lucky enough to attend such an amazing school like Suffield that provides ample opportunities for all students to strive and follow their passions as they support them to grow past their high school years. My grandma reminds me to take full advantage of these opportunities as I am so fortunate to be given them. Now, as I apply to pursue science in college, I'm so grateful to have a piece of her with me throughout every step of my education. Finally, my grandfather, who I called Pops, is my biggest role model to this day. He used to preach to me the importance of persistence and hard work. As his only granddaughter, he loved to cheer me on in the family Thanksgiving football games with my 9 older boy cousins and brothers. Always declaring me the MVP, we bonded over our love for the game. Pops grew up in Massachusetts in a blue-collar family, but with his persistence and determination, he earned himself a spot at Yale on the hockey team and led his team to a 1-0 win over Harvard in his senior year with a buzzer-beater goal. While I didn't quite get his hockey genes, which you might know if you've ever attended a field hockey game, I like to think that I have the traits that led him to live such a successful life. After college, he joined the Navy as a pilot and finished as a lieutenant. In 2001, Yale awarded him the George H.W. Bush Lifetime of Leadership Award for his commitment to public service and leadership while at Yale as well as in his career after graduating. I strive to be just as selfless, passionate, and hardworking as my grandfather was, and I constantly work to make him proud. When my grandfather passed in 2014, I struggled to cope with the loss. I felt I had not learned all that he had to teach me, and that I had not shown him all I was capable of. From then on, I have done my best to follow in his footsteps, although he cannot be by my side supporting me. My dad constantly tells me how much I remind him of my grandfather, and that I would be making him proud. Hearing this is my motivation every day to be kind, compassionate, selfless, and driven, just like my pops was. My 4 years at Suffield have been an amazing environment for me to learn about myself and grow into my own identity. Looking back, I realized how much I have changed from when I first stepped on campus in 2019. Without my advisor, Mr. Atkins, and the loving community I have around me, I would not be able to embrace all the amazing qualities my grandparents have passed down to me. Thank you.
My name is Owen Arnold, and I'm a four-year senior from Hopkins, Massachusetts. My 4 years at Suffield, I've had a very interesting group of roommates. With that came a lot of good times and funny memories. I've also learned a lot from them. Coming into Suffield as a freshman, I had no clue what to expect. That is when I met my first roommate, CJ Monty. The second I met him, I knew it was going to be a great match. Something about CJ and I rooming was that we would never fall asleep. We would say goodnight to our dorm parent at around 11 p.m., and then from then on, it was straight talking and laughter. He would keep me up until 3 a.m. each night trying to tell me dad jokes and yell about how New Jersey is by far the best state in the U.S. CJ's biggest hobby his freshman year was his cologne collection. He would consistently go room to room, having people rate his cologne, and he would buy a new one at least once a month. I still remember him spending the whole study hall one night talking to Miss C about his cologne and which new ones to get. One thing CJ tried to teach me was to switch the side of the bed you sleep on each week. He tried to say that by switching up the side, it will help your sleep and make you less tired in the morning. I don't really understand why he thought that, but even 4 years later, he still uses that theory. Though it's probably best for us not to room again because we can never get work done, we don't regret it one bit. My next roommate was Owen Marrero. I met him in the summer in the midst of COVID. We immediately became great friends and it led into the school year. Due to COVID restrictions and quarantine, we were forced to spend a lot of time together. By a lot of time, I mean 24 hours a day together. We spent most of that time watching movies. I was never a big movie guy, though Owen never really gave me a choice and made me watch one every night. I would just end up falling asleep and waking up a couple hours later to Owen still watching it. Though COVID was a tough time for the both of us, we pushed through and ended up being great roommates. My junior year, my roommate was very helpful. My roommate was Will Kim. He would not let me leave the room during study hall until my homework was complete. As I wouldn't listen to him most of the time, I realized that it was helpful. My grades raised and I built a good structure for studying. Will and I got along very well. We would spend our nights playing 2K and arguing about the Celtics versus Warriors. Unfortunately, I have nothing to say about that. Though in 2K, he only managed to beat me once in probably the 100 games we played. Lastly, I'm in a triple this year. While it's a very different dynamic, it's been working out well. Most of the time spent in the room has been Tucker laying on the couch watching movies, and Theo and I playing video games. We also have nightly arguments about sports no matter what it is. It's been a great couple of months, and I'm sure the rest of the year will be eventful. Over those 4 years, I've had 5 very different roommates, but I learned a lot from them, and I will never regret rooming with them. To end, I want to give a huge shout out to my advisor, Mr. Atkins. We've been through a lot together, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. I also want to give a shout out to Mr. Bullock, who's been an amazing mentor, coach, and friend. And last, special shout out to Goni, Fuller knows why. Thank you for everything.
Hello, Suffield. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Ciasco, but everyone calls me Petey. I'm a 4-year senior from New Caney, Connecticut. I decided to create my Chapel Speak on the most unique part of my life, the things that I've experienced being the youngest of 7 children, 5 boys and 2 girls. Just for context, I am not from a normal family. Before I was born, my mom had 4 of my siblings with her first spouse, who tragically passed away in 9/11. They were 2, 4, 6, and 8 years old. While my dad had 2 kids of his own, 4 and 6, they were both single parents trying to balance their 2 young families when they met and married, joining together their respective households. However, unlike other combined families, we were all young and forced to grow up around each other. The age gap between me and the oldest is only 12 years. I was the only kid between my mom and my dad, making me the proclaimed unifier, and all of my siblings' younger brother. I'm the only one in my family that is related to everyone. Being the youngest of 7 came with some scars. As a baby, my brothers thought it was a good idea to throw pillows at my feet from across the room, eventually causing me to trip and fall and crack my head open on the fireplace. Or when my older brother bounced me off of a trampoline at the young age of 2 over 7-foot high ropes and successfully covered it up to my mom and dad by locking me in the closet. Being the youngest, I was always spoiled, and as a result, I was teased about it from my siblings. But the fact is, my parents just wanted to keep having children until they found the one they liked. so it's not my problem. Growing up with this many people was hectic, but the most important thing it taught me was to live life with a positive outlook and to take it one step at a time. When you get older, you see those who mean the most to you less and less. And my advice to you is to cherish those moments. And luckily, throughout the years, my family has remained close and really good friends. As the youngest, I was always pressured to follow in my various brothers' footsteps, whether it was sports or school. My brothers had incredible success playing athletics, and I wanted to as well. But unfortunately, was never able to. Instead of dwelling on this, I shifted my time and energy to my other strengths. When I first applied to Suffield, I never thought I would go here. I was accepted and already had a deposit at my brother's old school, Blair Academy. When I told my parents that something was off, and I needed to change schools an hour before the commitment deadline. So my dad called none other than Mr. Atkins at 10:30 that night, and for all that and the other constant BS that you've had to put up with these years, I wanted to shout out and thank my advisor and role model, Mr. Atkins, for everything you've done for me and the school. Reflecting on this decision 4 years later, I can confidently say that Suffield has provided me an opportunity to create my own path in life. And for that, I am forever grateful. To my family, you guys have always supported me, and experiencing all of your different perspectives continue to make me who I am today. While our time together is short, I cherish every second. To all those sitting here who will be making their senior speeches after me, have fun with it. Have fun during your time at Suffield. Cherish these moments. Have fun living life, going to college, and making sure that you set goals and milestones for yourself, always remembering to cherish it all. Thank you.
Recently, I came across my Suffield application, in which I discussed the passions, activities, and people that reflect the identity of my 8th grade self. Upon reading my application, I had a major revelation about the value in your already lived experiences. How did 8th grade me portray myself in the application? I described my profound love for basketball, explaining how I'd make 500 shots and practice for hours daily in pursuit of college aspirations. My interest and ability to express myself creatively through cooking, as demonstrated by the time I boiled a steak in pineapple juice. My enthusiasm for fashion, recounting how for as long as I could remember, my shirt matched my pants. And finally, the joy I received from spending time with my family. I remember vividly sitting down and pouring hours of my time into this assignment, digging deep into my brain to give the most genuine and intelligent-sounding answer I could. My interests have changed since 2018. I don't cook, I eat, and although I still enjoy popping out an occasional outfit, I wouldn't consider fashion a primary interest. Granted, not everything has changed. I still value and appreciate family moments, and I still play basketball. However, it's under my lens, modified through emotion and experiences, that my perception of basketball has been altered. In the fall of last year, I faced my shadow. Basketball for some time had lost its fun. The game generated anxiety. My passion became an obligation. This realization hurt, leaving me feeling empty and purposeless, like a piece of my identity was left behind. Maturing was my internal hardship, for maturity is what led me to recognize my need to move on. Early in my junior year, I engaged in new beginnings. I embarked on a variety of ventures, including new sports, a car detailing business, and founded an organization with the means of giving back. In many ways, my new beginnings rekindled my enthusiasm and the fortitude of an open mind. I was enthralled by the brotherhood, connection, and foresight I attained from my fresh starts. I now understand that as time passes, passions evolve and change. There's no such thing as wasted time because there's always an opportunity to gain or grasp new knowledge. The time I spent playing basketball is irretrievable, yet it's a meaningful part of my identity that awarded me valuable insight into aspects of my character that will carry me throughout life. With this new understanding, I no longer experience maturing as a hardship, just an opportunity to emerge in pursuit of my goals and as a vehicle, bringing and enabling me to find new passions. Basketball, along with other experiences, are published chapters already cemented into my book. The lessons I've obtained derive from self-reflection. By analyzing, taking notes, and highlighting the meaningful passages, my narrative is developed through trial and personal desire. Each and every one of us is able to articulate our own story. We're the sole author of our books. However, beyond our ability to construct the book is our ability to read it. You are the only one capable of reading all the lines when everyone else is stuck reading the summary on the back cover. Why not develop the plot in a direction you think would be interesting? My message and advice is to be present. Seize the moment and take ownership of it. Face your shadow and compose your journey based off your own reflections. Use all your knowledge and notes from your previously written chapters and apply it to create a new one, a masterpiece you're truly proud of. Self-reflection enabled me to evolve from that shy middle schooler being interviewed in Mr. Atkins' office to the person I am now that confidently stands in front of all you. Thank you for listening, Suffield. My name is Henry Levin, and I'm a four-year senior from Westport, Connecticut.
What's up, Suffield? My name is Jason Mack. I'm a four-year senior from Boulder, New York. I have benefited from Suffield in many ways. I've grown a lot from my freshman year to now, and yes, I'm talking both mentally and physically. I have had the opportunity to flourish in our supportive, diverse community, but more importantly, Suffield has allowed me to grow, discovering my passions. Throughout my years here at Suffield, I've come across the question, what sport are you here for? And my favorite response is that I study the books. But I always wondered why sport had to be the reason I'm here at a prestigious boarding school. Why can't I just belong? Yeah, I play basketball and have love for the game, but I am far stronger in the classroom than on the court. Growing up, I've always been academically minded, but I often found myself hiding that part of who I am. My closest friends and family would joke around, calling me a nerd, and I truly hated it. However, as I matured, I realized that this is a real problem within the black community. I realized many young black kids are timid to demonstrate their intelligence, which led me to becoming a tutor and counselor at a predominantly black summer camp in my hometown this past summer. I was able to help kids enhance their academic abilities, but was also able to promote academic excellence to young kids who look like me and may often, due to societal beliefs, undervalue academics. Being able to connect with the kids through sports, music, and TikTok trends after reviewing math concepts was wonderful. For an hour was wonderful. I felt as if I was helping shift the outlook on academics within the community, which is a big picture goal of mine. One day, one of my kids came up to me and said, "Mr. Jason, if you weren't a tutor, I wouldn't have guessed that you were smart." I honestly did not know how to respond. His comment was the exact reason I was his tutor, attempting to make an impact on what I am passionate about. But what I do know is that I am motivated and determined to change the narrative. To this day, I must admit that I am quick to sit in the back of class or maybe hesitant to not ask too many questions in class. At the end of the day, I am proud of who I am and wish to encourage those younger than me to embrace their brains as well. Special thank you to Mr. Atkins for instilling confidence in me and always pushing me to be the best version of myself. Shout out home team. To Mom, Dad, Granny, and Dia, thank you for always being in my corner, and I appreciate you all for everything. You guys do for me. Lastly, I would like to give a shout out to my boys for making Suffield a special place to me. Shout out my guy Tyler, Ken, Jaden, Makar, Henry, Josh, Darian, and by request, Mr. Too Big, Too Strong, and Goni Mahazwar. Thank you, Suffield.
Hi, Suffield. My name is Sarah Broad, and I'm a two-year senior from Miami. When I was in 8th grade, I got a call from my dad saying that in 2 days he would take me to Connecticut to tour boarding school. I had so many questions, but none of them could be answered. I asked my mom why and what was happening, and she made it very clear I wasn't going to be leaving home anytime soon. 2 days later, I got on a 6 a.m. flight with my dad to a small town in Connecticut that I had never heard of. While on the flight, he told me that he went to Suffield and that it completely changed his life. He told me stories about his crazy roommates and how he would stick his radio out the window in Spencer. He told me he thinks it's time for me to leave Miami, get out of the school I was in, and into what seemed like a better school environment where I'd be able to create my own routines and become independent, something I was craving at the time. I was surprised, scared, and mostly confused. When we got off the flight, there was snow on the ground and it was a gray and muggy day. All I can remember was being cold. When we got to Suffield, I honestly had no idea what to do. I went on the tour, and then later that day, went to a basketball game. That's when I remember seeing school spirit for the first time. Not only did I see students cheering for their classmates and friends, but I saw people proudly wearing clothes with Suffield written on them while smiling and laughing. At my old school, the most school spirit we would get was when we all wore the same white shirt on a random Friday that we were all forced to pay $20 for. Despite me enjoying the trip to Suffield, I thought it would never be a possibility.
Spring of 8th grade came around, and me and my dad randomly decided to take a trip to Suffield to get back on campus and see what it was like without snow on the ground. That's when I fell in love with Suffield. The air was so much fresher than it was at home, and spring brought flowers and colors I had never seen before. There was no humidity, and the weather was perfect. Once again, when I got back home, I knew it would never be an option. As soon as I started freshman year, I knew I had to get out of my old school. Everyone around me had different goals, and I felt so unwelcomed, mistreated, and stuck. When COVID hit, being away from my friends and in isolation was hard, but it gave me time to reflect. I was able to improve my mental health and get closer with family, but it also made me realize how unhappy I was at my old school. I valued being at home and alone more than waking up early and taking a 30-minute drive to a place I hated. I wasn't doing well in classes, and every day felt like a chore, where I was just doing the same thing over and over again. By 10th grade, I was miserable to be back at school, wearing a mask and barely being able to socialize with my friends. I brought up the idea of Suffield to my dad and decided to apply with only him knowing. When I found out I got in, I knew it would change my life. Fast forward a couple months, and I'm in the car driving down Main Street, coming to terms with being a new girl for the first time. I had never been in such a different environment where I hadn't known everyone for my whole life, knowing their parents, siblings, and their homes like my own. I genuinely knew nobody, and it was hitting me that I would have to start fresh. I've always been outgoing, but having to make new friends when everyone else already had their groups established was such an awkward feeling, where I felt like I was interrupting everyone. I slowly began to make friends, and I'm even still making more now. My junior year felt weird, and I spent a huge part of the year at home, making it hard to make and keep new friendships. When I got back to school, I felt so out of the loop. I didn't know any traditions or when or where any events were, and I felt like I needed to just have been there longer. 2 years at Suffield isn't enough, and if I could change anything about my experience, it would be to have come earlier. Without Suffield, I would have never known that it was possible to be happy and in school at the same time. I've never been lucky enough to be part of such a loving, caring, and helpful community where I feel taken care of and accounted for. I never knew teachers genuinely wanted to help me succeed and do well in their classes. Thank you, Suffield, for giving me confidence I never knew I needed, for making me happy with myself, and for making me feel cared for. And thank you to everyone in my family who listened to me and made this possible. Thank you.
Hi Suffield, I'm Emily McKeer, and I'm a 2-year senior from East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. One thing that a lot of people tend to forget about me is that I have a twin brother. He doesn't come here for school, so I get how no one knows about him, but if you've ever had a class with me, then you've heard about him at least once. He's my fun fact on the first day of school for every single icebreaker we do in class. So most of you have probably heard about him in 2 Truths and a Lie. Now every time I say I have a twin brother, the first thing that comes out of everyone's mouth is, are you and your twin brother identical? I mean, what do you think? Well, he's a male, and I'm obviously not, so no, we're not identical, but you guys should probably stop asking me that question. At some point, I just gave up, and I think I said yes, but one of my favorite things that we do together is we go up to our cabin in Vermont. Now, this cabin is in the middle of the woods. We have no electricity, no cell service for a mile, and no running water, which basically means there's no lights, no phones, and no bathrooms. We're literally fending for ourselves in our cozy little cabin, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We play stupid games, we talk for what feels like forever, and we go quadding for hours. He'll take his dirt bike and I'll take my quad, and we'll go literally anywhere we can with them. Another thing that we do in Vermont is we'll drive for 15 to 20 minutes into town to get cell service and call my mom to tell her we're still alive and haven't been eaten by an animal, and to check our phones. The 10 minutes we sit in that car at the grocery store parking lot is all the phone time we get for that whole weekend that we're there. That's really all we do in Vermont. There's not really much else to do there, but it's always fun going. As much as I look forward to our trip to Vermont, I also look forward to our nightly talks. Whether it's gossip from East Longmeadow or Suffield Academy, yes, my twin knows everything about you guys, or if he's just explaining football drills that I never understand. I always appreciate him barging into my room late at night while I'm trying to study and messing up all my organized space. It's a really nice way for him to help me procrastinate. So teachers, if I ever turn an assignment in past midnight, which let's be honest is most nights, it's because I was talking to my twin the whole night instead of doing my homework. So I blame my lack of sleep and therefore my coffee addiction on him. But it's okay, the late nights are worth all of it. When I first came to Suffield, I was honestly a little nervous to be at school without him because we'd always grown up doing the same stuff together. This was the first time that we'd really be apart. And even though I was going to start at a new school without him, I knew he'd always be right there beside me, helping me. I still ask for advice whenever I encounter any drama at school, and he still helps me get through my classes and homework. Whenever I'm confused about anything, he's right there to straighten it out, even when he doesn't want to. He also discovered the secret on how to always cheer me up. He found that the best way to put me in a better mood was to get me Wendy's Frosties at 12 o'clock at night, or take me to get my own pint of ice cream from the gas station down the road. Both of these options always helped with whatever was going on in life. So I guess this whole speech is a thank you to him. I really don't know where I'd be without all of his encouragement. Now, don't get me wrong, he's not a very encouraging person. He does his fair share of picking on me, but I know it's out of love, so I let it slide. When we're both off in college, probably hundreds of miles away from each other, I know we'll still call each other over stupid little things and inside jokes and talk all the time. It'll be tough not seeing him every day, but I'll know he'll always be there for me, and I'll always be there for him too. Thank you.
Hello, Suffield. My name is Nene Uchimi. I'm a 3-year senior from Tokyo, Japan. Today I want to share my journey of coming back to Suffield Academy. I started going to boarding school when I was 13 years old. While I love going to school, it makes me really sad when I'm getting ready to go back to school every time, leaving my parents, grandmother, my brothers, and my dog. Here are the things that I need to do before I leave Japan. The first thing I need to do is a COVID test, and it's my least favorite thing of the day. Since it takes time for the results to come out, I use this time to shop for the things that I need to bring back to school. Because I have so many things to buy, I visited almost 50 different stores to get everything I need, and it feels like on workout. My last stop is home and where I actually start packing. Packing is always the hardest. I always ended up packing on the last day because I keep lying to myself that I'm going to pack tomorrow, but I never start. I basically grab everything from my room and then throw it into my suitcase, but due to the policy, I can only bring about 23 kilograms of luggage, so this is when my mom comes in and helps me with packing. We come up with a list of things that I have to bring back to school so that I can get rid of the things that I think I need, but I don't. After I finish packing, I always have my last dinner before traveling with all my family members, where I can sit and enjoy the time before I leave home, because I know that I will be able to see them for the next 3 months. Although I always tell my parents that I'm not sad about leaving, but after saying goodnight to them and laying down in my bed, my tears comes out knowing the fact that I'm leaving tomorrow. However, the sorrow feelings disappears as soon as I get onto the airplane the next day, because I'm so excited to see my friends and begin the new trimester. There is a lot of twists and turns during my returning journey to the US. When I was traveling back to school last year, something interesting but also frightening happened to me. After arriving to Chicago and when I was waiting to post the custom check, the officer told me that there is something wrong with my visa and they have to see me in the office to talk about it. While I was waiting in the room, I couldn't help but think about what I had possibly done to get into this room, but it turns out nothing happened. So they released me after 30 minutes and thankfully I was able to catch the connecting flight. Finally, after 20 hours of traveling, I arrived to Bradley Airport and started a new chapter at Suffield Academy. I want to thank my family for always supporting me. いつもありがとう。これからもよろしくお願いします。Thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a great winter break.
Have a great day.